Muslims are maligned that Muslims are terrorists. I say that terrorist means a person who causes terror. And I give the example that if a robber sees a policeman, he is terrified. So for the robber, the policeman is a terrorist. In this context, every Muslim should be a terrorist. Whenever a robber sees a Muslim, he should be terrified. Whenever any antisocial element sees a Muslim, he should be terrified. Every Muslim should be a terrorist to the antisocial element. But I further go on to say that I'm aware that terrorist commonly means a person who terrorizes an innocent human being. In this context, no Muslim should ever terrorize any innocent human being. Now this Sunday Times picks up one statement of mine from an answer I've given out of context and says, Zakir says every Muslim should be terrorist. I've clearly said that terrorist commonly means a person who terrorizes an innocent human being. In this context, no Muslim should terrorize a single innocent human being. And it's very easy. For example, if I'm taking an interview and if I ask you that is robber a good person? But naturally you'll say robber is not a good person. And if I chop off the knot, it will sound that robber is a good person. And if I show you your own interview, you would think it's a slip of the tongue. Actually, you said robber is not a good person. But when I chop off the knot, it sounds like robber is a good person. And you would think it's a slip of the tongue. It's not. So doing these things is so easy. So this is exactly what they've done. They've picked up half my sentence and presenting to the world as though I'm saying that every Muslim should be a terrorist. So what happens that this is how the media tries to malign people who are popular and are trying to spread peace. And I'm aware that there are certain young Muslims in different parts of the world who are being misguided by certain elements. And they have been told that you should spread terrorism, it will be good for you, it's good for the religion. My speeches actually prevent such misguided people to go on the wrong path. In fact, I'm very unequivocal that Quran says clearly in Surah Ma'idah, chapter number 5, verse number 32, that if anyone kills any other human being, whether it be Muslim or non-Muslim, unless it be for murder or for spreading corruption in the land, it is as though he has killed the whole of humanity. And if any person saves any other human being, it is as though he has saved the whole of humanity. So Quran is very much clear and unequivocal that killing any innocent human being is as though you have killed the whole of humanity. And I said this many times, that any Muslim killing any innocent human being, whether it be a Muslim or non-Muslim, it's totally unacceptable in Islam.
So another statement which came into limelight and created quite a few disturbances was the Sunday Times alleged that you support bin Laden and you blame George Bush for the 9/11 hijackings and call it an inside job. Sir, if you actually mentioned it, do you have any proof for such kind of a claim?
These two statements have been taken from two different video clips of mine. And very often I'm asked by the questioners after my talk and by journalists that what are your views regarding bin Laden? And I always say that if I have to give my judgment based on what I see in BBC and CNN, I'll have to agree that bin Laden is a terrorist. But the Quran says in Surah Hujurat, chapter number 49, verse number 6, that whenever you get a message, you check it up before you pass it to the third person. So based on this verse of the Quran, I cannot say anything, condemn anyone unless I've got sufficient proof.
Okay.
So therefore I say, I don't know bin Laden personally. Neither do I consider him a terrorist, neither do I consider him a saint. I say, I don't know. And that's the same question. Suppose the UK government today, if they arrest bin Laden, and before he undergoes the trial, suppose they put him to trial in the High Court or the Supreme Court, and before the trial takes place, if the Home Secretary, Theresa May, she asks the judge of the High Court or the Supreme Court judge that what are your views regarding bin Laden? Do you consider him to be a terrorist? What do you think will his reply be? But naturally he'll say, I don't know. He will say, let the trial take place. You place the evidence, I'll verify the evidence, I'll cross-examine, let the cross-examination take place, then I'll give my verdict because he is a responsible person. He cannot just say, okay, fine, I have seen on BBC, I have seen on CNN. Why should there be a trial? Just put him to gallows. In a democratic country. So this is how a person who's responsible, who has a very high post, will behave. And this is exactly what I do. Because I know I've got more than 100 million people following me. I've got a large fanship. I cannot say anything. So when I say I don't know, if the Home Secretary is condemning me, so tomorrow, if they arrest Bin Laden, and before the trial takes place, if the Supreme Court judge says, I don't know, I think she'll even deport him, saying that why is he supporting Bin Laden? He's not supporting Bin Laden. This is how a logical person, because in democracy you have to give everyone a chance. So I'm not saying Bin Laden is a terrorist, neither am I saying he's a saint. I say I don't know. At the same time, those people who have sufficient proof, and those people who are convinced with the proof, if they say, fine, they can say. But why should I repeat? Why should anyone force some of their thought down my throat? So just because I say I don't know, that does not mean I'm supporting Bin Laden.
Okay.
But in the same breath, I also say, whoever has done the 9/11, whoever the person is, that person is to be condemned. And that person is wrong. Whoever has done the 7/7 bombing in London, where more than 50 people were killed, he is to be condemned. Whoever has done the serial bomb blast in Bombay on 11th of July, where about 200 people were killed, those people should be condemned. I'm condemning the act. I cannot take the name because I don't know who did it. Regarding the second part of the question, that I have said that 9/11 was an inside job done by George Bush himself. This is in reply to a question that was asked to me after one of my talks that took place in 2006. The topic of my talk was, is terrorism a Muslim monopoly? And after my talk, there's a questioner who poses a question that, do you consider 9/11 to be an inside job? And in reply, I said that there was an article that came in Times of India on the 7th of September, 2006. The title of that article was, 75 professors believe 9/11 was an inside job.
Okay.
And in the article was mentioned that 75 professors and scientists, they claim that 9/11 was an inside job, and a few warmongers in the White House, in order to invade and take possession of the oil-rich countries, have planned this. So it was a report that came in Times of India. And furthermore, there are many documentaries available, like Loose Change, 9/11 Fahrenheit, and many documentaries which give various evidences to prove that 9/11 was an inside job. And they say the way the building came down, the Twin Towers, as though dynamites were planted, it cannot be possible that a plane hits the Twin Tower and the fuel completely can let the building crumble down. Immediately after the 9/11 attack, the person who built the building, the engineer, said, it's impossible. The temperature of the metal of the building to melt requires more than 2000 degrees centigrade. And the temperature of the fuel is hardly 800 to 1000 degrees. It can't be possible. Immediately, next day, he retracts his sentence and he says, no, it's possible. Another person who gives a similar sentence who does not retract, he is kicked out from the job. Many of these 75 scientists and professors, after they gave this statement, they were sent on a paid leave.
Okay.
So when we see all these evidences given by scientists and professors are more logical than what you see on BBC and CNN. Yet, I'm saying they claim it was an inside job, not me. They claim it was done by White House. They claim it was done by George Bush. If you ask me, did George Bush did it? I will say, I don't know. Maybe he did, maybe he did not. I cannot hold him responsible. The same way as the news that I see against Bin Laden in BBC and CNN cannot make me condemn him surely that he's a terrorist. Similarly, when I see these documentaries, which are much more scientific, much more logical than what evidence I see in BBC and CNN, yet I do not say that George Bush did it. I say, maybe he did, maybe he did, I don't know.
But
I'm not saying...
Yeah, but you do believe in the evidences being shown on television about George Bush?
I see they are more convincing than the evidence showed against bin Laden. Yet I say I don't know. Because to condemn anyone, I require solid proof. Otherwise, I am maligning a person. To praise a person is easy. Even if I, by mistake, praise a person, it's not a problem. But to condemn anyone or to speak against someone unless I have solid proof, the Quran doesn't give me permission. So what standards I use for bin Laden, the same standard I'm using for George Bush. But on the other hand, there are many people in the world who have called George Bush as a terrorist, and Venezuela President Betty Williams, the main Nobel Prize winner, Nobel Prize for Peace she got, George Galloway. So in that sense, there was a poll conducted in America where who should be the biggest terrorist. And they gave three options: Osama bin Laden, Saddam Hussein, and George Bush. And do you know, in all the polls, George Bush won the polls lock, stock battle. In one poll he gets 78%, some polls he get 80%. Even the BBC conducted a poll. So this is what is the opinion of the people. And seeing what's happening, what I'm trying to say, that why are they misquoting me? What I'm a man of truth. So before I condemn anyone, unless I've got solid proof, I'll not condemn him. So just because I say I don't know, that doesn't mean I'm supporting bin Laden.
So another question which everyone wants you to answer is that it is said that Rahil Abdul Rahman Sheikh, who's actually the prime suspect, and he's been suspected of being the commander in series of the train bombings which happened in Mumbai recently, like some time back, spent much of his time in the IRF library before the attacks. From where this link came up from?
Point number one, I don't know whether Rahil Sheikh was responsible for the serial train blast. I don't know. Irrespective whether he was or not. The claim in the media, I'm aware that some of the newspapers in India did say that Rahil used to visit the library of IRF. The point to be noted that the IRF library is a public library. Anyone is welcome, good, bad and ugly. I personally don't know Rahil Sheikh. I don't even know whether he came to the library or not. Even if he did come or did not come, even if he has attended, if he has come to the library, does it mean that he has been trained here? If you see his past record, surely he might have attended some school or some college or some university. Now, in college and university, they get direct instruction from the professors and teachers. In a public library, you don't get instruction, you just come and read a book and go. So if you have to blame out of the two, a public library or a school or a college, who will you blame more? You will blame the school or the college. I'm not trying to say that the school made him a terrorist. So this is how the media projects. First of all, I don't know Rahil Sheikh personally. I don't know whether he came to IRF or not. And if anyone comes to IRF, people are welcome. Good, bad, ugly, all types of people are welcome. And surely if they come to IRF library, they will come closer to the peace. So just blaming because a person, even if he visited, that, trying to malign, that, IRF has, though they don't say it, but indirectly they're hinting that as though he has been trained in IRF. Okay. This is how the media maligns, without mentioning names.
So lastly, a very important question. The Sunday Times further claims that the American terror suspect Najibullah Zazi, arrested last year for planning suicide attacks on the New York subway, is said to have been inspired by your YouTube services. Do you think your speeches can actually inspire people to commit any kind of crime?
Firstly, I do not know who Najibullah Zazi is. I don't know him personally. I don't even know whether he was planning to do some suicide attack or some bombing in USA. I don't know him personally. I don't even know whether he was inspired or not. But if the report is saying that he was inspired, yes, my talks do inspire people towards the good. And there are hundreds and thousands of people who have stopped having alcohol. After hearing my talks, have stopped having drugs, have stopped doing adultery promiscuity. Many of my speeches have inspired hundreds and thousands of people towards the good. Regarding inspiring anyone, whether it be Najibullah Zazi or anyone else, to commit a terrorist act or killing innocent human being is totally not acceptable or believable, because in many of my talks, unequivocally, I have condemned terrorist attacks. I have condemned terrorism and I have condemned violence. And I've very often quoted the verse of the Quran of Surah Ma'idah chapter 5 verse number 32. It says that if anyone kills any other human being, whether Muslim or non-Muslim, unless it be for murder or spreading corruption in the land, it is as though he has killed the whole of humanity. And if any person saves a single human being, it is as though he has saved the whole of humanity. So Quran is absolutely unequivocal and clear that killing any innocent human being is totally prohibited. It is as though you have killed the whole of humanity. So where is the question of my lecture inspiring anyone to kill innocent human being or conduct a terrorist attack? And you may be aware that all the Muslims, 100%, they believe and they respect Prophet Muhammad. Now suppose you find a Muslim who is involved in some wrong activity or maybe involved in killing innocent human being or a terrorist attack. You cannot say, okay, fine, because he loves Prophet Muhammad, he is inspired by Prophet Muhammad. That's the reason Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, Nauz Billah, is responsible for conducting those evil acts. Fine, he may be inspired by Prophet Muhammad, but he may not be following him 100%. He may be following 10%, 20%, 50%. The evil act is his responsibility. You cannot blame that to Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. Because never in any of his sayings, in any hadith, has he ever said that kill innocent human beings. He never has promoted violence. Similarly, in my speech, never ever have I promoted violence. Never ever have I told people to do terrorist attacks. It is in fact, I am emphatic against violence and against terrorism.
But as you say, people at times misinterpret to what you say.
That's right, just to malign me because they know I'm popular, so that they know that I'm spreading the truth and people are coming to my talks in large numbers and they're coming towards Islam. So those people who are enemies of Islam, they want to malign me so that they reduce my influence over the audiences throughout the world.
I suppose, sir, that's a great response to the allegation put in front of you. So I suppose Dr. Zakir Naik has responded to all the questions and allegations put in front of him. Thank you so much for your time, sir.
It's my pleasure.
That's all for now, and have a great time ahead. Thank you so much.